So I was watching a video by a YouTuber called Sura Shakti, and he was giving some advice on why people have difficulty adjusting back to society after they've had a spiritual awakening. Now, I have a video on my channel about my spiritual journey and my spiritual awakening happening my early 20s, 23, 26, somewhere around there. And listen, as an introvert, as a rare personality type, INFJ, I've always observed people, but not necessarily really like the people. But of course, as I went through my own spiritual journey and wanting to embrace more love and reduce the chaos and have more inner peace, all the things, I definitely lost friends. I definitely, I wasn't always interested in like clubbing or any of those things, but all of those things were very short lived for me. I spent like a semester going to the club, a year drinking alcohol. Right now, in my like real life, I buy wine like every other month, maybe once every 3 months or something like that. I have never really been so invested in a lot of the material things of the world. I came into this world with a lot of knowledge, just the old soul of it all. I just knew things. And then the more experiences I've had, the more wisdom I've gained. So, I just wanted to share like what it's been like for me because in 2025, I thought about maybe making new friends. And I had a year where I really dedicated time to making friends and made like three or four friends. And where are they now? I know I'm not alone in this journey of like looking out at the world and the craziness that's going on and thinking, why does it take so long for people to get it? Why are there so many people that don't get it in this lifetime? And then how do you exist in this world? Or how do I exist in this world? How do I thrive? Like, how am I happy on a day to day basis when it's going up in flames when things are so crazy? Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're not new. I am Dr. Sharice. I help Black men and women heal from trauma and toxic relationships, and I'm obsessed with God. So a lot of the things on my channel are about God, the universe, oneness, love, being a better person. And I think I've just been wanting to talk about this topic for a while. I've always been misunderstood, I think, right? In childhood, adolescence, I didn't feel misunderstood. But when I look back, right, people didn't really understand me or the way that I thought. Most people didn't think like me. And I never thought it was anything to brag about. I just thought I'm just the odd one out, or people are really listening to me. And somehow that was okay. I didn't make it mean anything. In my losing friends, right? I had a best friend. We did a video on my channel about our friendship breakup. We're not friends now, but I leave it up because I think it's a beautiful example of like what it's like to try to be in community and relationship with somebody who is just not on the same vibration as where you are. And that sometimes even really, really long term relationships you're going to lose. And it's sad and you can cry about it or reflect on it and hopefully come to a place of acceptance where you're not like pining over the friendship anymore. And for us, it was like a years long breakdown, build up to then end. So, I've already grieved a very long time that relationship. As I'm thinking about like relationships now, I mean, Ooh, I thought specifically of friends who are hustling right now, like friends who are going, people who have not really found deeper meaning in life, and the difficulty or my difficulty in being in close relationship with those people because I don't view life that way. I really think life is supposed to be fun and we're supposed to be enjoying what we do, and viewing your 20s or your 30s as this sacrificial time when you're not really supposed to be present, you're just supposed to be going doesn't resonate with me. And it's so, when I'm in the presence of other people, because I am an observer, I do a lot of watching. Sometimes I really have to remind myself, like, you don't have to pick up on anything. You don't have to feel any of their emotions. Like, you really can't put the boundary up where you're just enjoying this person for who they are now in the time that you have. But I can't lie, it's difficult. Oh my gosh, it's difficult for me because I'm just like, who outside of my bubble, right? Because I've curated a space of peace, not just like in my home, because I definitely love being home, but inside of myself. So even when I do go outside and there's all these people and I'm driving in traffic and the craziness or, the news or the president, all of those things are happening, I'm aware of it all. It's not like I cut myself off from the world, but I can filter those things in and don't have to take them on, right? They just like flow in, information out. But there are people who want to express their fear. And I think that's a lot of it. And as a psychologist who doesn't, I don't work outside of work hours, right? When I'm in my downtime, it's difficult to engage with people who are feeling so much fear and not feel like the way I process isn't then triggering to them, right? Because, like, no, I'm not really worried about the state of the world. I'm very much on the same wavelength as Bernard, what's his name? Michael Beckwith, who was like, the old paradigm is out. It really is out. It's not coming back. The people are trying to hold on to it as long as they can, but it really is on its way out. And we are going to eventually see the new world come in where there's much more balance. But in the meantime, there is a lot of this struggle in between. If you don't see the world that way and you think everything is burning down for good, I could see why you have like this existential crisis. But like breaking bread with those sorts of people, it's difficult for me because I often feel like I'm invalidating the experience because people are wanting to trauma bond or I don't know, chaos bond, whatever I mean, get the validation that, yeah, the world is so terrible and we should all be so worried. And I'm not worried. But in front of a person who's worried and scared, I don't feel comfortable going on and on about how I'm not worried, right? That doesn't really sound like an enjoyable experience, but it's often one that I have because of course, I feel fear and scared at times, but those are not things I hold on to. And they're not things I constantly repeat. If I feel fear, I go to God and I process it and then I let it go. So much on my channel. I have a whole new playlist on like processing not so good emotions. I don't know if I said negative emotions, but real time processing of pain and fear on my channel, how I work through it, and the importance of not staying there, not living there, because life is so much more than the not so good moments or the terrible moments in our life, the low points in our life, right? They will come, but we don't have to stay there. And that's basically what my channel is about. I don't doubt that people are crazy. And I don't disagree that right now things are very bad, right? I know Elon Musk did the Hail Hitler sign and that they really are interested in fascism and, wanting the oligarchy and getting all the billionaires together. I can see all of that. But for me, I really think back to history and how history repeats itself and that humans in our evolution are getting better and better and better. And that even though right now things are really bad, things have only gotten better for human history. I often cite the example of there was 400 years of slavery. There was chattel slavery, and people thought it was a great idea. They thought it was so good. They fought for it not to end, but it did. And that ending period, if you go and you look across the world when slavery was ending, it was like 100-year period between starting and ending because so many different places hadn't really ended it. And then they transitioned into like a modern day slavery, which is quite similar to the prison industrial complex, where they were hiring people, but not really paying people. So they were still in similar conditions, living and being tortured and targeted. Like all of those things are true, but even all of the pushback they did to not end slavery, it did end. It did end. And I know people talk a lot about Hitler, but I've learned about other dictators who've committed genocide on people. And Mussolini, if you haven't heard of him, he's one of the worst ones. There will never be another Mussolini or another Jewish Holocaust. Like those things at the immensity of it, the sheer number of people that were not evolved in their thinking to push back and just went along with this very low vibration of harming this many people for this ridiculous reason, right? The eugenics of it all. That will never happen again. We will never get that again, right? In America, what we have is like the prison industrial complex. That's kind of what we have. And yes, it's large, and yes, it affects a great number of people, but it's not genocide. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's actually really terrible. And the state of the world, and America specifically, is actually very terrible. But I just I believe things get better in time. And so all I can do is focus on what's in my power, right? So a lot of this process after my spiritual awakening, even getting to this place when I'm like 10,000, 20,000 level peace, where my day to day feels really, really good, where I have enough money. I talked about like my goals. If you're not a member of the channel, I have a video I did recently where I'm talking in depth about some of my figures and numbers that I want to hit, but that life can be great even though there's so much chaos around us, that we can build the inner peace so that we can be sort of immune or much less affected by the things that are happening in the world. And there are so many things, like there's so many terrible things happening in the world, but there are also really, really, really great things happening in the world and in your own bubble of life, right? Because you are in a web that touches so many other people, but not everybody. You can be a good person to other people in your life, and you can curate a life where you feel loved and appreciated and valued, where you can thrive, where you can get the things that you want out of life. As a Black woman, I wouldn't say it's easy, right? I wouldn't say it's so easy for me to navigate this world, and then compare myself to a white man and like, what are his obstacles really? I know it's not easy, but when you do things in a particular way, you can get the things that you want out of life. This video is sponsored by me. Check out my website, spiritsoulsense.com, for a couple of free downloads. I also have my poetry ebook for sale, and you can also purchase my artwork and merch to help support my channel. The vast majority of people have not gone through a spiritual journey or had a spiritual awakening. And so I expect people who are still asleep to do sleepy things, to do low vibrational things. And I really aim not to judge people for it, to understand that that is where they are, and maybe they'll get it in the next lifetime or the one after that. My job is to be happy with this lifetime that I have here. And I'm grateful that I have all these videos on my channel that you can learn more about me, or more about like how to gain inner peace, so that after you've come to this place of really not having much internal challenges, or letting outside worries or difficulties just roll off your back, integrating into society or engaging with coworkers can become something that's not so hard, because you allow people to be themselves as you are embracing yourself more fully, and then limiting your time, all those things with people, because you're going to need the space and the time to, like I like to do, stay at home and do nothing, read, cook, because people have their stuff, right? And it's not their fault that they have their stuff, it's their responsibility to heal. But if we have a little bit more compassion for people wherever they are in their process, and understand, like, we don't need to demonize people for enjoying their material things, or being so obsessed with like the rat race, because this is part of the human journey. This is part of Earth School, as Gary Zukav would say. I love people. I really do love people. I don't really like people, but I love people. And I really aim to have empathy and compassion for the people around me. And I think that's what helps me be in society, right? Actually engage with people and not just be a recluse. Although I've thought more and more about what would that look like as a Black woman if I didn't engage with society. I just wonder, right? Because I say often on my channel, if I was a white man, I would be living on the side of a mountain somewhere by myself. That's it. I would just be on the mountain by myself in a cabin. Recently, I've said if I was a white woman, I probably would be a nun, right? If I was like 65 in 2025, I probably would have lived a life as a nun. And I just wonder, as a Black woman in 2025 who's 35, what does this, right, who's wanted to get married, I have a son, so a lot of those things don't really apply, but I just wondered if in a different universe, if I live on an island, I'm from an island, if I live on an island, just super minimalistic, if that's that version in this lifetime. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to think about, but it's not nothing to do with this video. Nothing to do with this video. I probably did talk to my boyfriend about this. Like, oh my gosh, maybe we should be living on an island or going back to the Congo or something and just living in the village. Anyway, let me know how you've been feeling in your spiritual awakening, your spiritual journey, how it's been for you being in society, engaging with your family and friends since learning that everything is working in your favor, that you can have whatever you want in life. Let me know in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Share this video with someone you think it may help. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And thank you for watching.